What is up, YouTube? This is your boy Armaret. Rather than bringing you a commentary about the game, I actually decided that I'd actually bring you a review of a movie that I recently saw. About 2 nights ago, I went out and saw the new Hobbit movie, which, some of you may not know, is actually the prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So you have The Hobbit, Fellowship of the Rings, The Two Towers, and then Return of the King. What they decided to do in The Hobbit was they took the Hobbit book and then they took the appendices from all of the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and they kind of combined all those together, and they're going to make 3 movies around that one book. So what was just released was the first third of the Hobbit / appendices, and it was called The Hobbit. We went and saw it in 3D. Now you could see it in standard 3D, IMAX 3D, or the increased frame rate per second version. I just saw it in the normal 3D, and I've got to say, you know, as a fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I had high expectations for The Hobbit. I had read the book, I had seen the actual animated version of The Hobbit when I was a younger kid, and it to what I was looking forward to. The visuals were just beautiful, the cinematography was amazing. The one thing that I did truly enjoy what they did was they took some of the musical set pieces from the Lord of the Rings trilogy and they reused them. Now, some people may think, that's not a good thing, that it's reusing some of the stuff, but the moment when they get to Rivendell in this one, and you hear the music from the Lord of the Rings trilogy when they hit Rivendell in those movies, it kind of brings back memories, it brings back, thoughts, and it's kind of nice how it ties it all together. It's almost like, certain sections of the movies have, this continuous theme song to it. So that was really nice to see, and the work that was done by Andy Serkis and Gollum was just phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. So if we're going to look at what the bright sides were, it's definitely the cinematography, the visuals. Andy Serkis as Gollum. The person who plays Bilbo, they actually waited a few years for his schedule to become clean so they could actually get him to play it, and it was incredibly evident as to why they did this. You watch Bilbo grow, and over the course of the 3 movies, what you're going to see is him go from somebody who likes to be at home, likes to be around his things, hates to travel, and he's going to transform into the Bilbo that you know in the Fellowship of the Rings. It's watching this guy go from, being terrified to even step one outside to, at the end of the first one, a third of the way through the journey, he just did a fantastic job, and you could really feel this transformation happening. So, I thought that was a good pickup. The battle scenes that they did have were, as of course all Lord of the Rings movies, were just breathtaking. The CG was great, the camera work was fantastic. The way they chose to display the fight scenes such that you're up close yet far away at the same time. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you've seen the other movies, you know what I'm referring to. It was all positive. I guess though I should talk about some of the negatives though. One of the negatives was the fact that it is a 3-hour-long movie. I mean, I think it's technically just 1/3 of what is going to be The Hobbit. So that's one thing you do have to remember when you go to watch this movie. You are going to have to invest, a good deal of time. The other thing that I'd have to call out as almost a negative is they go from, high action sequence to just them traveling. High action sequence to them traveling, and sometimes the transition or the timing that it takes to get from, just them wandering across, Middle Earth, which is actually New Zealand, and the action sequences can get a bit long and can get a bit tedious, and the dwarves in this movie, which look fantastic, they really try to flesh out the history of the dwarven people, and at times even that can get a bit dry, maybe is a good way to put it, because you spend the Lord of the Rings and all those series of movies immersed into like this kingdom, this realm, and you're seeing elves and dwarves and humans and hobbits and wizards and goblins and orcs and Urukai, and all of a sudden in this one they kind of pour out. So you don't deal with humans. You have some interaction with elves, but it's not a massive interaction with elves. You have Bilbo, which is essentially the only hobbit that you see, and the other dwarfs. So they really try to flesh out the dwarfs, which was kind of cool, knowing about the great empire. But I almost kind of wish you got to know more about the individual dwarfs in the party along the way. They never, at least as of this point, haven't really quite touched on it. I would have to say one of the things that I did enjoy is the wizard. So you all know of Gandalf the Grey, and you know of Saruman the White. There's actually another one. There's 5 total that Gandalf talks about, but you actually see another one who's the Brown. And this guy is a character, talks to animals, has birds live in his head. It's a really funny, really clever character, very nicely done on his part. So I guess it all comes down to, this is my recommendation. Would I recommend, to you guys going and watching this movie? When I look at what's out there nowadays, this is a definite recommend. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being a must watch, cannot miss. 1 being you can kind of do without. I'd probably have to put this movie at like a 4. I think a 4 is probably a fair and honest place to put it. If you have the time, and if you like either sci-fi or action, or if you like any of the Lord of the Rings movie, this is a movie that you just cannot miss. It is just fantastic, from the music to the characters to the story. Plus, it just feels great to be back in the middle of something. It feels like it's just been too long since we've been there. So I think Peter Jackson really did it right, and I can't wait for the next 2 installments to come out, which I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, it's every year around Christmas time for the next 2 years. The next 2 are going to come out, so I'm super excited about that, and hopefully you guys will go and see it. If you did, let everybody know what you thought about the movie below in the comments. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and thanks for letting me share my opinions with you. And as always, like, favorite, and subscribe. So as you're going to see here, as I always like to put links to some of the other videos. I have one link to my take and my reactions to what happened in the Connecticut tragedy. I have a link to my boosting series, in which I actually find people who boost, and I call them out on it. And I got a super sped up, fast up mode of a guy camping. It's really funny. It's some Benny Hill